Welcome to Ask GMBN. This time I'm coming in from a gondola, not in the shed, and we are in Whistler, British Columbia. Look at that, it's beautiful. So I'm going to answer your questions that are sent in, and you can leave your questions below this video or use the hashtag AskGMBN. Right, let's kick it off. First question comes from Peter Berzanitsky, and he says, "Hello guys, I have a question. I'm 35 years old. Is this too late to start mountain bike skills like jumps, etc.?" I would say definitely not. I'm actually 35. I have been riding for a long time, but I do know plenty of people that didn't start riding until their 50s and are now really good jumpers. So, I mean, take it steady by all means, but it's definitely not too old. Okay, next question comes from Nick S. "How do I get used to being in the air whilst jumping? I'm scared to jump." I would say take it slowly, sort of build up your jumps. Don't just hit jumps and hope for the best. I know a lot of people that do that. So work on your skills. I always talk about pumping, manualing and hopping, and they really do come into play when you're trying to jump properly. Start off with tabletops and just take your time. Don't go too big, have a crash and lose any confidence. It's all about confidence jumping. And I would say have a look at our jumping playlist. We've done quite a few videos now on jumping, so work your way through those and click over there to have a look at those. Learning how to jump properly comes from 3 progressive steps: pumping, manualing and bunny hopping. Get the one nailed before you move on to the next one. So next question comes from Vince Patterson, and he watched a Santa Cruz Syndicate video. The mechanic was throwing the back of the bike at the ground at an angle. What is this telling him? I've seen that video as well actually. That was Greg Minar's mechanic, Jason Marsh. And they often do that actually. It's slam the back of the bike down into the floor to see how sensitive that rear shock is to the small bumps. So you want that rear wheel to stick to the floor, you don't want it to bounce back off. And if that shock is really nice and subtle and really take up those small bumps, then that's going to stick to the floor. It's not very scientific, but I have seen mechanics do that in the past as well. Isaac Haupt asks, "I'm looking for a new bike, but want to know how I can really get a feel for different bikes when I can only test them in the parking lot." Yeah, you're not going to get all the feel of the bike from the parking lot, but I think actually you can learn a thing or two. I often do this when I've built my new bike. I go outside my house just on the street and do some bunny hops, do some turns, pump the bike, do some wheelies, and it'll give me a feel for sort of how good the suspension is, how easy that bike is going to be to jump, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's not the best test, but you can learn a little bit about a bike by just sort of carving around the car park, doing a few wheelies and little tricks. Okay, Adventure TV. "Why does my brake lever come all the way into my handlebars?" I'd say almost definitely that's because your brakes need bleeding. They can get air into the system, or the oil can go off a little bit, and that's generally the case. So it's not a massive job, but you should check out a video on how to bleed brakes.
I've actually got SRAM's professional bleed kit, and it's a very good comprehensive kit. You've got all your spacers that you're going to need, spacers like this, and you've also got your T10 and your T25. You're also going to need 5mm to take that front wheel off, a tool strap for the bleeding process, and I'd recommend using some disc brake cleaner and a rag just to clean up afterwards and get rid of any residue. Car Guy asks, "Why does my chain make a creaking sound when pedaling? Not too hard in every gear, even though my drivetrain is cleaned and lubed." That's a tough question. I would say that probably isn't your chain. If it's definitely lubed, then I would not imagine there'd be a creaking sound coming from the chain. So if it's a full suspension bike, it could be that the back end of your bike is moving around a little bit, so the pivot bearings might be a little bit worn, or it could be your bottom bracket. Those are the 2 things I would check straight away. And obviously maybe put your bike into a stand and listen really closely to try and pin down exactly what is making that creaking sound, but I wouldn't imagine it was your chain. This is coming from William Wickholm. "When I look straight down from the cockpit to the forks and pull on the front brake, the forks go backwards. Is this normal?" I presume what you're trying to say is that the lowers of the forks are moving backwards, and that isn't really normal. There might be a little bit of movement in there, but if they're moving a lot, so it almost feels like the front wheel is moving, I would check the bushings in your fork. So grab the front brake and actually feel the stanchion and the lower of your fork, and if there's any movement there, then they probably need a service, and you can actually replace the bushes inside your lowers. Okay, now on to the quickfire round. Ellis M. "Will you do a video on how to scrub?" Funny you should say that, Ellis. We're actually shooting one this week in Whistler Bike Park, so hopefully coming soon.
Yuho Hiltonen, are you going to make more line choice videos like risk versus reward? Another one actually, Yuho, we're doing this week, so yes, definitely. That video seemed to go down really well at the Enduro World Series, so we're going to try and do another one this week on one of the downhill races that's happening here at Crankworks. Jack Ramsbottom, do you like electronic mountain bike group sets? Will you make a video on them? I've actually not ridden them very much at all, only just round car parks on friends' bikes, and it does feel really good to me. I know it's another thing that can go wrong and your batteries can wear out, things like that, but it's really, really crisp shifting, and you can shift when you're under full power as well. It feels like you're not going to snap the chain because it's a really, really quick shift. So as far as I've ridden them so far, I've actually really liked them, and again, something that hopefully we'll make a video on very soon. Sorry, that wasn't a very quick answer. Kevstar Real, are some Enduro riders using 29-inch wheels? Yes, some people are. Tracy Mosley tends to use a 29-inch wheel bike quite a lot. Not as much in the men's, to be fair. We have seen him a little bit, but hopefully we'll see more of that coming soon. And we do know that there are some people testing 29-inch downhill bikes at the moment, so that'll be interesting. My name, can you do more videos on slopestyle, like bike checks? Again, yes, we'd love to do that. We're in the perfect place. There's Joyride happening this weekend in Whistler, so we'd definitely like to check out some slopestyle bikes. Thanks for all your questions. Now on to correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so Sebastian Charloteau has sent us in this video to ask@gmbn.com, and I'm going to check it out and give him some advice on if I think he can do it better. So he's rolling into a big North Shore ladder and he's had a massive crash. That looks absolutely huge. Hope you're alright, Sebastian. That is absolutely massive, straight over the bars. So I would say yes, you probably could do that better. Sorry, I'm sure you know that already. It looks to me like you hit your bum into the rear tyre when you go off the drop off, and that sends your weight forward. So I would say practice moving around your bike. I call it the arc of movement, so you know where your rear tyre is, because in situations like that you will want to get really far to the back of the bike to keep the front wheel up, and if you hit your rear tyre with your bum, that is going to cause that massive nosedive. However, if you don't move far enough, that can also cause the same issue, so you need to learn exactly where that rear tyre is. But that was a massive crash. Hope you're feeling alright. Practice your manuals, go back to smaller drops and really learn where that rear tyre is. Thanks for sending that in, and if you guys have any other videos you'd like to send to us, send them to ask@gmbn.com and I'll give you the best advice I possibly can, I hope. So whilst here at GMBN, you should check out more of our videos. If you click up there, I'll take you through to how to manual, really essential skill. If you click down there, that'll teach you how to check your drivetrain for wear. That might be important when you're trying to work out what's creaking on your bike. Click on the GMBN logo to subscribe, it's totally free. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video.